Hi everyone, Harry here to talk about a really important lawsuit that is now set for trial on October 1st in Georgia. I've been holding off until it seemed like the best time to kind of set this up for you, and I think it is now the best time. The court has set briefing and set the actual hearing date. All right, this is one of several suits around the country in which, in the wake of 2020, Republicans, this is something Trump has been really ahead of the curve on, seeding the lowest kind of bureaucratic levels of state election apparatuses with solid loyalist Republicans who can, in the next national election, kind of put their thumbs on the scale. And now, so this one is in Georgia. There are others, and that's part of the point here, is that this is sort of the emblematic of others, but it is the most important. Georgia, recall, is a classic swing state. That is where Trump called up the Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, and said, I just need 11,980 votes. In other words, it was within the terms of a national election. He lost by a whisker. And so the focus is very intense on Georgia and another 5 or 6 states going forward. And in the wake of this, the Republicans have devised a strategy, and it's really a partisan strategy to infect what ought to be and always has been in Georgia, a non-partisan process. Okay, so what they've done is the state election board, first, step one, get some really good, solid Trumpers in there, and they've done it par excellence. There are 3, and don't take my word for it. Take Donald Trump's word for it. Here's how he described these folks. They are, he called them out by name in Georgia and said, they are pit bulls fighting for honesty, transparency, and victory. Think about that for a second. Board election officials, civil servants, pit bulls fighting for victory. For whom? Trump. And what are these pit bulls doing? They have enacted, by a partisan vote, 2 new rules in Georgia. The first one says that county boards must conduct a basically undefined and unprecedented reasonable inquiry before certifying election results. What does that mean? Not a damn thing, except the partisan Republicans could go in and say, I'm doing my reasonable inquiry, and they can delay certification. And we know from 2020, delay can really be everything. That's, depending on how the whole race is shaped. By then, the election is over, but how the counting's shaping up if they're trying to do, the Republicans and Trump, another coup. It would be critical to have the ability in a state like Georgia to freeze the linebackers. And then there's another rule to give board members powers to examine all election-related documentation created in the conduct of elections. And it's these rules that called Trump, besides calling them pit bulls, they're on fire. They're doing a great job, he tells a cheering crowd in Atlanta. This is, again, about civil servants in election boards that are supposed to call it by, straight up. And so what is it supposed to be in Georgia? What has it always been? Same it is everywhere in the states. These guys, election board officials, are simply bureaucrats and certifying that here is what the vote is, or what the numbers as they have come through Challenges can then be made, but in courts, before judges and neutral decision makers. That's what the process is in Georgia. That's what the process is across the country. I've worked on things like this where in front of a judge, you then go and the Republican makes their claim, the Democrat makes their claim, and the judge decides it. Not county board officials who are elected at, in some local election, who have always been it's the ground level of the system, are required to call it straight. Imagine this is sort of like what Rudy Giuliani was claiming the system was like in Georgia when he defamed Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss, right? He said, oh, they're just there working, but they're actually taking a suitcase of ballots and hiding it. They are in Georgia trying to put into play nothing exactly so crass, but an absolute ready-made tool for for pro-Trump board members to hold things up, cause doubt. This is really what he was trying to have the Department of Justice do: infuse doubt into the process, and then doubt is his ally, and he can try to take it from there. So it's really pernicious. And it is it seems like a pretty bureaucratic, low-level thing. Oh, just a sort of Board of Election new rule and reasonable inquiry. Is that so bad? Yes, that is so bad. It is ceding the ability at the ground level in a swing state, as swingy as they get, for Trump partisan forces to totally delay things, put their thumbs on the scale, cry fraud when there isn't at the very outset of the counting. And as I say, it is part and parcel of a general trend that is going on here. And it's totally Trump driven. It's not as if the Democrats have matched. It's a dishonest thing to do, to corrupt what ought to be public servants this way. But they're trying to get public servants who are supposed to have this clerical role to instead, you find some good pro-Trump people, like the three people that are these bulldogs for victory that Trump has identified in Georgia. You get them in these ground level positions, and you pass with partisan boards. And that's, Georgia is about as bad as it gets. Not that it's as pro-Trump as it gets, but it's as polarized. And the pro-Trump forces, we see this in many different, specific situations, is how very partisan they are. So you have the pro-Trump forces by a narrow majority trying to change the rules, and then trying to get into place, if they can change them, Trump partisans who come election day, when there's chaos and all kinds of uncertainty, to gum up the works, if that's what they want to do, or point the finger and say, my reasonable inquiry says this is fraud, or these Democrats have voted twice. The entire laundry list of problems you can make right after an election, except here, rather than the ground level being civil servants and then it going to courts to decide, you have a ground level of Trump partisans. So it's really, fundamentally corrupt right in the ground. So October 1st is when the lawsuit brought by Democratic committee and individual voters will take place. Got to watch it really closely. Could be vital. And it's, if the rule goes through, it's kind of like a big bank robbery in daylight, in front of everyone, because seems like this little legally thing, but in fact, the stakes are potentially pivotal and enormous. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.